Hello viewers, my name is Chase Clover and this is my preview and predictions video for the November 30th, 2014 pay-per-view, USW pay-per-view entitled USW Bullet Proof VII. This pay-per-view has been much awaited ever since Cold Greatness 9. They've just been waiting for the next big pay-per-view that was coming out because of how great Cold Greatness 9 was in April of this year, and now it's November of this year, and the second biggest pay-per-view on the pay-per-view card is finally arriving within, I believe, 3 days from now, or 2 days from now, because today is Friday. Happy Thanksgiving for those of you who celebrated yesterday as well. This pay-per-view, I've been waiting it for a while. It's been 6 weeks since, I believe, Caution, which was the very last pay-per-view that we had, previous one. And this pay-per-view has been hyped up pretty well. There are a few matches on the card that weren't, or either didn't have enough time to be hyped up, or weren't hyped up enough. One of those matches being Canon and Prophecy versus Chain Reaction and Indigo Child. That match didn't have enough time to be hyped up, but most of these matches on the card were pretty well built up to leading up to this pay-per-view. I'm expecting it to be a great pay-per-view. I'm expecting it to gain a lot of interest through fans. And I expect this pay-per-view to be one of the best, if not the best, pay-per-views of the year. And some things to say before this preview and prediction video. A few things to say, something involving my apologies to the main event matches. Capital versus DHIG for the world title, and Enigma versus Ezra and Kills with Benny Franklin in his corner for the USW title. Now, some apology that I want to put out. I knew going into this, the start of this, road to Bullet Proof VII back in after Caution 6 weeks ago. I wasn't expecting these matches to be very good. I didn't expect them to. The only reason I didn't expect them to be good was because, DHIG hasn't really been too well, or hadn't been too good, and hadn't been too well seen by fans, and Ezra and Kills and Benny Franklin weren't exactly the singles wrestlers, and they didn't really have a great character. But I have to give it up to them. They have proved me wrong, and we'll just see this coming Sunday. We'll see how well they can put, or how well their matches will be. I'm interested in them, and they've gained my interest through the weeks, and I'm ready for all the matches on this card. It should be a good pay-per-view. I believe it's 4 hours long. I believe that's 4 hours is for the big I think 2 or 4 pay-per-views. I think it's only for Cold Greatness and Bullet Proof. I think those are the only ones that are 4 hours, at least nowadays. But I'm expecting this pay-per-view to be one of the best pay-per-views of the year, because I think Cold Greatness 9 will shut it out, or will definitely be the pay-per-view of the year, no questions asked. Anyway, let's get into the review. First match is a kickoff match, and it is Lane versus BP Fierce. Now, this is one of the matches that were not hyped up as much as they could have been. At some points you would have them intervene with the James Simon Saint, Chris Ross, and Philip Akron rivalries, but there was some point or some weeks where they weren't featured at all. And that when they're not featured over the coming weeks, it loses fans' interest in the match, and it loses a lot of potential when it comes time for the match. And the storyline and the feud / rivalry, they don't they don't get viewed or seen as, a feud worth watching because of the lesser hype and the lesser planning that goes into the storyline. This storyline has not had that great build up like most of these matches have, but I'm expecting it to be at least a little bit competitive. My prediction for the person who would win it, my prediction is going to be Lane, because Lane is the kind of wrestler who is able to reverse many moves. He's able to turn a lot of his opponent's moves into his own moves through different types of counters. And BP Fierce is one of his main weaknesses are his obvious moveset choice. He is a powerhouse wrestler, or athletic as well, but sometimes most of the time, powerhouse wrestler, and he does go for many slams into the mat and many grappling holds that put pressure on the neck or put pressure on the back or the legs. And Lane has been known to reverse many of these powerhouse moves and turn them into different athletic, high-flying moves. So I'm expecting Lane to counter enough moves from BB Fierce's moveset to find a way to will himself to the win. So I think that should be a good kickoff match. And next match is the second match on the card, which is the no disqualification match for the Extreme Championship. Titanfall will defend his Extreme Championship against Crimson Red. Now, with this rivalry with this Extreme Championship rivalry mixed in with the Bluebell Championship rivalry over the past few weeks, it's made it less interesting, and it's made it more uninteresting, because you had the same matches over and over and over again, much like you have in the main event picture, but in the main event picture, they plan out those matches, like what happens before and what happens after, whereas these championships get less of that. So there hasn't been much hype to this match, and obviously there hasn't been much to the hype to the Bluebell Championship match either. But I'm still expecting it to be a good match just because of these two performers. Now, it may not be as interesting in the fans' eyes, but I feel like in the match, it won't be thought of as a bathroom break for most people. They'll be interested and they'll sit through it for a while. Or they'll sit through it until the match is over, and then hopefully they'll be satisfied with the match and satisfied with the ending, and they won't have thought, oh, well, I just wasted my time with this. My prediction is that Titanfall will retain the championship against Crimson Red, and I don't know how he'll do it. I think he'll hit the neck fall, but I don't know what spots in the match will kind of happen, because these two performers are very unpredictable. Crimson Red can find many different moves in his moveset to make it worth watching, and to have a spot in the match where it looks really good. So my prediction, though, is that Titanfall will defeat Crimson Red. I think there'll be a lot of carnage, but we'll find out what happens after the match, or in the match. Third match on the card was a match that I'm actually looking forward to seeing, and is, in my opinion, one of the best mid-card matches on the card. Hanasley versus Alexander Rotten. This is the battle of the two people for the Key and Case winners from 2013 and 2014. My problem with this is that I've heard rumors that USW's planning on ending this rivalry after Bullet Proof VII. So this will probably be the one and only match that they'll have, if you don't count the matches that they had earlier in the year. I'm going to try to enjoy it, because I'm pretty sure this will be the only match that they have at least anytime soon. And I believe that rumor, and I believe what they've told me, because it's happened before. and it's kind of sad because this is obviously a rivalry that has been very interesting to me and has not like lost my attention. So to see it go so early in its prime, and I'm not talking about these two performers, but this rivalry, and how well it's doing. It's sad, but I'll enjoy it for what it's worth. My prediction is that Alexander Rotten will win just because he's got more of that powerhouse strength over Henasly. Both of these performers are powerhouses, and it's gonna mix up into a good match, and they're gonna have a lot of good spots in the card. And who knows, maybe they'll have such an interesting match that they'll at least put one more month into it, or one more pay-per-view match into it. But who knows? We'll see. Fourth match on the card is for the International Championship. It's Margigetta with Western Line in his corner, defending the International Championship against Fernandez with Gringo in his corner. This match is going to be definitely going to be a good match. Definitely going to be a match worth watching. I don't know if I want to hope that this is the last match that these two will have against each other, or if this match should be something that I hope will just end because of how it's going too long. I'm not sure how to feel about this rivalry, but I know that this match is definitely going to happen. It's obviously been announced, and it's obviously been built up over the past few weeks. Something that has taken just a little bit away from this match was the tag team match that they had against each other on Intensity this past Wednesday, with Fernandez and Margigetta facing off in the ring, and not tagging anybody out, but facing off in the ring, and Fernandez ended up winning the match, even though Margigetta took control of most of it. I feel like that'll be the same thing that happens at Bullet Proof VII. I think Fernandez has a good chance of winning this match, just because of how much he's developed over the past few months in this rivalry. But I think that Margigetta will find a way to retain the championship, and I think this match will definitely be a good match. I think it'll be at least a 3-star match, maybe better. But we'll find out. We'll find out who comes up on top after Bullet Proof VII, or after the match. I think it'll definitely be a competitive match. Do I think that the managers will get involved? Yes, I do. I don't think it'll be a clean finish, but I think this match will definitely have some spots in the pay-per-view that will be worth mentioning and be worth watching. So my prediction is that Margigetta will defeat Fernandez in that match. Fifth match on the card is a tag team match. James and Simon Saint going up against Tom and Chris Ross and Philip Akron. Now, obviously, this is a lopsided match. James and Simon Saint are both obviously athletic and technical wrestlers, but Philip Akron and Chris Ross are taller than them, bigger than them, stronger than them, and have been more developed than them. Chris Ross and Philip Akron have been used to wrestling more than James and Simon Saint. Even though they've been wrestling for a few months now, I feel like Chris Ross and Philip Akron have the bigger advantage over these two. And so, not much else to talk about in this match. I like the build-up to, the James and Simon Saint using heel tactics, yet staying faces over the past few weeks. I like how Chris Ross and Philip Akron have been running away in order to make James and Simon Saint look stronger going into the match, but I feel like Philip Akron and Chris Ross will be able to pick up the win over James and Simon Saint. And then I think after Shock 2014, after this pay-per-view, the next one, the last one of 2014, I think James will go back to his rivalry with Chris Ross, and Simon Saint will go against Philip Akron in that rivalry. So I think this will be the first and last tag team match that they have against each other at Bullet Proof VII, or on a pay-per-view, and then we'll go on from there. But that's my prediction: Ross and Philip Akron to win. The sixth match on the card is for the Bluebell Championship. Anarchy defending the Bluebell Championship against Ash. Now, they've been doing a lot more with the Bluebell Championship in the past few weeks on Intensity than they have been with the Extreme Championship. Obviously, the build has not been great enough, and it hasn't been interesting enough for me to want to see this match. It's been hyped up very little, and it's been very uninteresting, as I said earlier in this review. Anarchy and Ash have been going at it against each other since, I believe, March. So that's, I mean, if you do the math, that's 8 months. So, I mean, yes, they had a break in between because Anarchy had to recover from an actual injury. But these two, they've lost my interest in their matches. And the feud that they've had, the rivalry that they have, leading up to Bullet Proof VII, it's just, the hype has not been, targeted well. These two have definitely, these two have definitely been great competitors and great performers over the past few weeks, but I'm expecting, hold on, let me do this. I'll plug my phone back in. Okay, there we go. Sorry. I was just talking out of whatever. I'm expecting this match to have a steady motion throughout the entire match, but since there's been little to no hype for this match, I feel that I'm not interested, and I feel like I don't know. I mean, man, something that I don't like about this rivalry was the rivalry, or the storyline that they've had for the past few weeks. Ash kidnapping Anarchy, and then Anarchy breaking free all of a sudden and showing up to intensity in a match, and then Ash stealing the championship belt like it's been done before. It's just uninteresting, and I'm not interested in this rivalry any longer. I want it to change, because I'm sure that you guys aren't interested in it anymore as well. So my prediction, though, is that Anarchy will defeat Ash to retain the championship. Next match, the 7th match on the card, is a cage match, Alex versus George Martin. These two have had a rivalry off and on before, and leading up to this pay-per-view, there's been little hype, but the hype that they've had has been pretty interesting. I like the one night only reunion of the Martin brothers in a tag team match that they ended up coming out victorious in. But the matches leading up to this, and the storylines leading up to this match have not been very good, or have not been seen too often, but they have been somewhat good, decent, I would say. But I didn't think it's delivered enough to make me very interested in this match. I think the cage match is great stipulation. I think it adds a little bit more to the match, but I don't think it adds enough. I think it's the kind of match that you can take a bathroom break in and still have it going on when you come out. But my prediction is that Alex will win, just because he's more developed than George Martin. He's gotten more opportunities than George Martin. Next match is the 8th match on the card, and this is something that I'm really looking forward to talking about. It's for the USW Tag Team Championships. Cannon and Prophecy defend the titles against Chain Reaction and Indigo Child. Obviously, my prediction is that Chain Reaction and Indigo Child will win. This past intensity and the few weeks before, Cannon has been very, eager to just leave Prophecy and not go back to teaming with him, because Prophecy's been losing the matches. He's been losing the matches for them as well, and Cannon and Prophecy, they've been a good tag team, and they've just been hitting a tough time in the road. And this is exactly what sets up for what I've been predicting for months now, which was Cannon's heel turn against Prophecy at Bullet Proof VII. But at Bullet Proof VII, it'd make it even more special. My prediction, obviously, is that Cannon and Prophecy will lose, and then Cannon will somehow, some way, turn on Prophecy, and then we'll go into a Cannon and Prophecy rivalry for the next few weeks. I am very psyched to see this match, and I'm very psyched to see what happens, because I feel like a Canon and Prophecy rivalry will be very good and very interesting, as long as they have the correct storyline and correct hype going into the matches that they have. I want this match to go on for a while, not just a month or two, but for maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 months, because this is a rivalry that would be able to feature two great performers probably in their prime, going at it one-on-one and just tearing up the house. I'm looking forward to this, and obviously my prediction is that Chain Reaction and Indigo Child will win. 9th match on the card is pretty much like a cool-down match, just a relaxed match. TJ and Wilbur versus CD and ED. Not much to talk about this match. They've had their matches before, and TJ and Wilbur have had more matches leading up to this pay-per-view than CD and ED, and they've won more matches than CD and ED, but the reason why I said defeat was because I feel like TJ and Wilbur will defeat CD and ED, just because of how well they've looked for the past few weeks. 10th match. The next match is the 10th match on the card, and is for the USW World Heavyweight Championship, or the USW Heavyweight Championship of the World. Capital will defend the World Heavyweight Championship against DHIG, Bullet Proof Series winner. This match I'm not looking forward to as much as the main event, but I feel like it will be a good match. Capital obviously has been the world champion for a while. He is also he's also held the championship for the longest amount of time in one reign in USW history. Yes, you've heard me correctly. Capital has beat out Chris Ross's record of, I believe it was 81 days. He now is holding the record at, by the time Bullet Proof VII runs around, 91 days straight. So Capital holds the record for the longest time holding the championship in one reign. And I think that championship reign will continue because Capital has more experience than DHIG, and not taking away anything from DHIG whatsoever, but I feel like Capital definitely has the upper hand and the advantage over DHIG. They had some time to rest. They didn't have to go to Intensity last week, or this past Wednesday, so they're ready for the match. They're definitely hyped up for the match, and DHIG is hyped up for the opportunity. Capital obviously hyped up because he's got that championship defense. So my prediction, though, is that Capital will defeat DHIG. I think it'll be a very competitive match, don't get me wrong, and I think it'll be going down to the wire, but I feel like Capital has the upper hand just because of his wrestling ability and his experience. So my prediction is that Capital will defeat DHIG and retain the World Heavyweight Championship. Next match is the 11th match on the card, and is the main event of the evening for the USW Championship. Enigma will defend the USW Championship against Ezra and Kills with Benny Franklin in his corner. Enigma, I will refer to him as, I'm going to refer to him as Zach Hardy, because Zach Hardy had returned this past Wednesday night on Intensity. So it's going to be Zach Hardy versus Ezra and Kills with Benny Franklin in his corner for the USW Championship. Zach Hardy is returned, he is back, and this, let me tell you, this is probably the hardest match to call down the middle. Ezra and Kills and Benny Franklin have looked very impressive, and it's going to be hard for Zach Hardy to overcome this obstacle of 2-on-1, because, he doesn't have anyone in his corner to help him out, and Benny Franklin will definitely get involved in this match to help out Ezra and Kills. Hardy and Hills have put in great promos leading up to this pay-per-view, and I want to see this match again, but if Hardy wins and defeats Hills, then we go into Hills not getting a championship match again for the USW Championship, unless in Zach Hardy's current reign. So, it's hard to call, and I think it'll be one of the most competitive matches of the year. If the voting had not been set up yet, I think this could have been this could be a candidate for Match of the Year. And I believe right now Zach Hardy versus Morbid is defeating the other two nominations for the awards, so Hardy is at least going to come out with one award. But it's going to be Hardy versus Hills, and I'm going to have to go with Zach Hardy to win. Just because he's returning, he's going to have a big pop from the crowd. The fans are going to go wild, and they're in his hometown of Hartford, Connecticut, in the Gridiron Stadium for Bullet Proof VII. I've got to go with Hardy here. He's overcome obstacles before, 5-on-1, 4-on-1, 3-on-1, obviously 2-on-1, and 1-on-1 is nothing different. Well, it's something different. But this match will definitely be the match of the night, and I'm predicting Hardy to come out victorious and retain the... I'm expecting Hardy to defeat Ezra Hills and retain the USW Championship, and that's pretty much that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for viewers for watching. This was my preview and prediction video on the November 30th, 2014 USW pay-per-view entitled USW Bullet Proof VII. Remember to like, favorite, and subscribe for more. I will have a review coming out either on Sunday or Monday, so stay tuned for that. Remember to like, favorite, or thank you, viewers, for watching. Remember to like, favorite, and subscribe for more. I'm Chase Clover, signing off.